Welcome to the Buick Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon Marion, and on this podcast, we dive deep into the outdoors. We discuss hunting and fishing techniques, give you tips and tricks, tell stories, and everything in between to help you enjoy the outdoors. Hey everyone, welcome to Buick Outdoors. My name is Sheldon Marion, and today I'm here to tell you about my new book, September, A Hunter's Month. This is the first book I've ever published, and it's a collection of stories from when I spent about a month down in Tumbler Ridge area in the mountains doing some hunting. There's lots of hunting stories about grouse, elk, moose, deer, and trying to stay away from the grizzlies. It's available now on Amazon. I'll leave a little link in the description below for you, or you can just search up September, A Hunter's Month, and you should find it on there. There's an ebook, there's a paperback, and there's also a hardcover. So I'd appreciate it if you guys went out and if you check that out. And when you're done reading it, please leave me a review on Amazon and let me know how I did. It is my first book, so take that with a grain of salt, and I hope you enjoy. Well, welcome back to another Buick Outdoors podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon Marion, and today we're talking about basically the art of campfire cooking. There's a lot of people that have tried campfire cooking and have miserably failed, and I used to be one of them. And after a couple thousand hours of cooking over a fire, I think I kind of got it dialed in now. Campfire cooking for me, it kind of started on the river, either like the Graham or the Halfway. We used to go out there fishing as a family. We'd catch a fish or two or whatever, wrap them up in tin foil, cook them over the fire, and you'd have a nice little shore lunch. And like I continue to do that today, and every time I do it, just kind of brings me back to like the Graham River kind of a thing. It's pretty fond memories of fishing with the family and then eating like fresh rainbow trout right out of the river. It's just, it's phenomenal. That's one thing, even to this day, whether I'm on the coast or on the lake or on a river, there's nothing better than fresh fish, especially fresh fish cooked over a fire, wrapped up in tin foil. We used to bring a little stick of butter and maybe like a lemon or something like that with us, and like that's all you need. And like it's one of the best meals in the world, in my opinion anyways. But cooking over the fire, it can be a bit difficult, especially when you first try it. I remember I was probably 11 or 12, something like that. I used to camp out in the backyard all the time at my mom's place, and in the morning I built the fire, and I thought I was going to cook up some eggs over the fire on the frying pan. All I did was burn mom's frying pan, burn my eggs, and then I didn't eat breakfast, and I went hungry. It's it kind of started from there, and I've been learning ever since. And even now, as a 32-year-old grown man, I still mess up from time to time. And it's one of those things, like the first 1, 2, or maybe even 3 times in the year, like the first couple in the spring, I usually kind of screw something up. I get into a big rush or something. And I think that's what the majority of people do, is that they figure you got to cook in the flames when really you got to cook in the heat. So, you don't got to put it right down on the wood in the flames, and just kind of get it in your mind that you're not searing a steak on a frying pan or on a sear plate, or you're barbecuing it. You're just slowly roasting it, and you just gotta take your time. Take time out of your day, sit back, relax, know that you're gonna be here for over an hour, and just cook. Like this pork loin that I'm working on today, it's already been on there for about 45 minutes. Maybe only 30. About 30 minutes. And in probably about another 15-20 minutes, I'll flip it over and do the other side for like another 45, kind of a thing. And it just takes time. I mean, like, look what I'm doing out here today though. The tent's already set up, the dogs are worn out, the dogs had their food, they got their water. I got nothing but time to waste, really. So I mean, if it takes me 2 to 4 hours to cook up a pork loin to eat, it is what it is. And just learn to sit back and relax. It's kind of like how some guys talk about, like smoking a cigar. It makes you sit down and relax for that 45 minutes or whatever it takes you. This to me is my cigar. I come out here in beautiful places like this, you build a fire, and you just relax. Just take time out of your day, out of your week, whatever, and like just cook. And it's the most simple, basic way of cooking. You need fire and you need meat. That's, I mean, really, you don't need anything else. But when it comes to it, you know, a lot of people, they say, oh, you gotta cook over the coals. And that does work. But then when people put on their wood, because the coals, they just burn out, they end up putting like too much wood on, and then it flares up, and then you scorch your meat. For me, what I always thought is best is bigger pieces like this, what's on the fire right now, like quarter pieces of like whatever, 8 to 10 inch log kind of a thing. Because that way, these pieces have been on there for like 30 minutes now, and they slowly burn and they give off pretty consistent heat. When you're using smaller pieces, what ends up happening is they light on fire really quick. They burn up, they flare up, there's a big flame, it has just a jolt of heat, but then it's short-lived. So you'll burn the crap out of your thing, but then the fire goes out and you gotta put more wood on it. What I would say is get your fire going and get your nice bed of coals, but then once you have your bed of coals, grab these bigger pieces like what's on here now and put those on top, and as you can see, it's just slowly, the flames are just slowly trickling up, smoke is coming up, putting in all that flavor and all that good stuff. And if you put your hand over this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, it starts to get uncomfortable, that's about perfect heat. Anywhere between like 3 to 5 seconds that you can hold your hand there before you have to pull it away. Earlier today when I had it on there, the flame or the fire wasn't overly too hot, so I put those 2 pieces on top. But then it was about 3 seconds, I had to rip my hand off because either way, you know, I was gonna burn my hand. So with that, what's nice with like a cooking tripod like this, especially this one, because you have different links in that chain, I just picked it up. It was either 1 or 2 links, so an extra 1 or 2 inches, and that was just perfect. And then now, even with that, as this fire goes down, instead of having to throw more wood on, I can just lower that grate. With this, because it takes so long to cook, as this burns down and goes out, or not goes out, but as it burns down and the heat gets less, I'll split up another log and just put 2 more pieces on top of this one as like kind of like the log cabin style. And then that'll just keep the temperature up there and you'll be good to go. A lot of times too, it kind of depends on the wood. There is a certain BTU rating for woods. There is a chart you can find on like Google or whatever, and it kind of tells you like how much heat gets thrown off of certain woods. And you know, like hardwoods burn hotter. But I mean, like really, when it comes to this, as long as you just do like good fire management, or in this case, if you have like a tripod like this, like height management, uh, you're able to, you know, pretty closely monitor the heat. And like I said, like that little hand trick, that works great. I learned that when I was like 10 years old watching a was a cooking show there. I can't remember the guy's name. It was like a home chef that was black. He did the 5 fire trucks. I remember that for whatever reason. That stuck in my mind ever since I was a little kid. But yeah, when it comes to this stuff, you know, it is pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple, and it's like real rustic. You know, like there's something to it too. Like I don't know. When you cook over a fire, it's relaxing and it feels like good, I guess. I don't know. Plus, it's one of those things too. If you get like good at it, it's something that not too many people are good at. You know, so maybe that has something to do with it too. I'm not too sure. But depending on what you're cooking too, like some, like when you're cooking like vegetables or meats, if you're cooking a steak, you can have that lower and get it hotter. When you're cooking something like pork roast or whatever, you kind of want that higher up so you can like slowly roast it. Same with like chicken and stuff, because like chicken and pork, they'll dry out pretty quick because they're pretty lean. Like they have some fats on them, but it's usually just on the outside. There's nothing really on the inside. Whereas a steak, it has a little bit of fiber, like the connective tissue and fats on the inside of the meat too, like that marbling and stuff. So it's a little bit harder to dry that stuff out. But I mean, you cook it all the same, basically. Just take your time, slow roast it, and yeah, just enjoy it while you're outside. And this is one of those things too, whether you're out in a place like this having a campfire, or you're at home having a campfire, or you have like a what are those things called? Like a you build a fire inside the box, and then you have the cage thing that goes up and down. I can't remember what they're called. They're expensive as hell, but I really, really, really want to buy one. Or even if you have like an offset smoker, or even just a regular, like a stand-up smoker where you put the fire in the bottom, you have to know how to control your fires. And you know, when it comes to your woods and stuff like that too, like I said, like that BTU rating, there's also certain wood that you have to peel the bark off of. So that's mainly like your willow, alder, and poplar. Uh, Not so much birch. Birch actually has a really nice flavor to it if you leave that that bark on. But when it comes to like your poplar and willow and alder, you have to strip the bark off, because if you don't, it has like it's almost like a sting when you eat it. It's like very acidic. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like the sap or what. But also with any wood, when you're just having a fire in general, you want to make sure that it's actually dry wood. Uh, a lot of times I use spruce and pine to cook with, but it's always like seasoned. It's either standing dead and I cut it down, split it up, or I cut it down when it's, you know, 3/4 of the way green or 3/4 of the way dry, and then I let it season at home for whatever, 6 months kind of thing. Because with those ones, because they have like the sap running through them, you'll have kind of the same problem that you have with like your willows and your poplar and your alder, where that sap will burn. And then when that burns, it creates like a lot of black smoke. That black smoke gets all over your meat. And then when you eat it, you can taste like a, I don't even, to me, it tastes like burnt sap because I know what it tastes like. But to explain it, it's, I don't know, almost like a burnt rubber taste almost. Like it's not good at all. So you definitely want to make sure that that stuff is nice and seasoned. And then depending on where you are too, uh, certain certain trees have certain flavors. You know, you say you go to the grocery store and you see Jack Links, you'll see like hickory smoked. Same thing with like bacon. You'll see hickory smoked bacon or applewood smoked bacon, is because the wood itself gives off its own flavors. Like you can see here with this going, you don't just have the flames coming up and the heat, but you have that smoke constantly going up. And some things are a mild smoke flavor, others are really, really strong. Like apple is a really mild flavor, where hickory is a stronger flavor. And then things like alder, it's kind of in the middle, slightly leaning strong kind of a thing. So I mean, like, you see it if you have like a Bradley smoker, all the different style of wood chips you can get. Like there's cherry wood, apple wood, hickory, is it like Southern Blend or something like that? And it's all just for flavor profiles. It has nothing to do with like the heat. It's just the taste. Uh, I've never cooked with cedar other than like a cedar plank. And with those, I don't think I've ever really done them right. Or maybe I have and they're just not that good as a plank. Because like those, you soak them in water, throw them on your barbecue, and then you put a fish fillet on top of that, and it kind of smokes it, but I never really got the whole thing over that. But I do have some cedar at the house that Dad brought up from Vancouver Island. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do one of these days at home is maybe, I don't know if I'll do like maybe it's like pork chops or something like that, so you can really taste that flavor. Because like that's another thing too, depending on what meats that you cook with. Some absorb the smoke flavor a lot more than others. Like the real, I guess you can kind of call it like softer meats, like your pork, chicken, and especially fish. It'll really absorb that smoke flavor. Where things like beef, moose, elk, like your red meats, they don't they don't necessarily absorb it as much, but you still can taste it. But I mean, it's all kind of whatever. Like when you start cooking with wood, I would say experiment. Don't just cook with pine. Every once in a while, cut up a nice little standing dead poplar, or cut one down, split it, and stack it up so there's some airflow going through there, and season it for a year. And then the following year, cook with that. just to experiment. But that's also just kind of the way I am, is I like to experiment with things. I like trying, different cooking techniques, different woods, different meats, all that. But looks like I gotta split some wood here and get my fire going again. So give me 2 seconds. And like I said, this is all part of fire management. Kind of stack this up somewhat. Grab these 2 new pieces, put it here, and then you'll see how that'll slowly start to burn. A lot of times what happens is it'll flare up like this, and then once it kind of burns off, like almost like the outer layer almost, then it kind of settles itself down. But while I'm here, I'll give that a flip, and there we go. Actually, while you're here, I'll show you this side. So this has been cooking for, I don't know, 45 minutes now. See a nice little layer, not burnt. See the juices coming out. We're good to go. But now this is what I'm talking about, where it kind of flares up for the first little bit. So what you can do, put it on there, tighten that up. I can grab my little chain here, and while it's flaring up, I can pick this up by 2. So now it's, smoke. So now it's way up and out of there. But if I put my hand here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, you have like over here on the side, because the wind's slowly blowing over. You can feel it over here, but right where that pork loin is, you can't hardly feel anything. So I'm gonna drop that down by 1. And then when this is all done flaring up, we'll drop her down 1 more back to where it was, and we'll go back to roasting. And that's another thing, I guess, too, that you can take into consideration is the wind. So if you have a fire right here and it's going straight up, the heat's gonna be here. But if the wind's coming this way, your flames don't go up like this. They kind of go up at an angle. So if you're cooking here, it's gonna be cold, where over here where the flame is actually going, it's gonna get hot. And right now I got that flame licking the top there. Normally I wouldn't be too concerned, but that's where all the seasoning is. And I'm kind of worried I'm gonna burn that seasoning. So we'll pick it back up by 1. And we'll just leave it there for probably about 15 minutes, maybe 20, however long it takes for that to stop kind of flaring up. And then when it goes back down to just a regular kind of like smoldering fire. One thing too that you can do, I don't necessarily do it, but I've seen people do it, not so much when you're cooking over a fire, but when you're cooking in like a charcoal barbecue or something like that. Well, the way I cook in a charcoal barbecue, I bought one and I put wood in it, kind of a thing. But they kind of do like a mixture. They do like a layer of charcoal and then they put wood on top of it. So in that way it kind of acts like a smoker almost. But then with that, you almost want to use like wood chips or something. If you put in like solid pieces of wood when you're doing that, what you'll end up having is something like this, where you have a big flare up, a big fire come in, it'll spike that temperature, and then it doesn't really smoke, so it just kind of burns. And then you get like a burnt flavor instead of a smoke flavor, where if you use wood chips, they do flare up and they do catch on fire, but it's a flash in the pan. It goes whoosh, it goes out, and then it smokes and smolders, kind of a thing. Where if you have solid pieces of wood, wood chips are a little bit better if you're trying to smoke at home. One thing that I have done when I use my charcoal, like the 50-50 kind of thing, is I'll have my layer of charcoal and it'll be going, it'll be nice and piping hot or whatever. But then I take my piece of wood and I split it kind of how they used to do like wood shingles. So you split it not quite in the center, just a little off center, and you come back in about a 1/2 inch or 1 inch to the other side and you split it down. So then you have this piece that's however long your block is, say 16 inches by however wide the wood is, say 8, but then it's about 1/2 inch. And when you throw that on there, sometimes it flares up, but more times than not, it just kind of sits there and slowly smolders. Same thing if you grab a whole log and put that on the fire, it takes it takes so much more energy to burn an entire log instead of like a piece. So I mean, like, that's kind of like when you're heating your house. When you go to bed at night, you don't throw in a bunch of like little corner pieces. You throw in whole logs and you stuff that thing right full, and you close the dampener down, and it just slowly burns all night long. And when you wake up in the morning, sometimes there's still some wood left in there. Other times it's just a big bed of nice red glowing coals. You throw your wood back on there and up it goes. So I mean, like, with all of this being said, what it all comes down to is just managing your fire, managing the heat, managing how high everything is, and also depends on like your types of wood, your types of meat, the flavor that you're going for. Some smoke tastes great with some spices. Sometimes spices and smoke doesn't mix. Like if you have something, I don't know, something sweet, like some sort of a brown sugar barbecue, like rib and chicken rub kind of thing, that goes great with another like light smoke like apple or cherry. Not so much if you put like a real bold like hickory on it, because that hickory just kind of overpowers it, and then it just, it still tastes good, but it tastes strange. You know what I mean? But yeah, this whole campfire cooking thing, it is a bit of a science. It's one of those things though, like, it's better to be on the side of caution and take things slower than try to try to sear something. Yeah, it's one of those things where you just sit back, relax, just tell yourself it's gonna take 2 or 3 hours, and you just do your thing. Just sit back, relax with your dogs, whatever, your friends, your buddies, and yeah, it's just a really long barbecue. And if you do it that way, uh, chances are the majority of the stuff that you cook is gonna be great. Uh, you know, even if you cook vegetables and stuff like that on there, they might wilt, they might look a little funny, but the end result that they're all going to taste phenomenal, as long as you don't burn it. It's a lot better to take your time and take an extra hour to cook something than it is to rush it and burn everything, and then pretty soon you're going to McDonald's for supper. You know what I mean? So yeah, take your time, relax. When it comes to the wood, really don't sweat it too much. You know, just use what's around you. If I didn't have this wood that I brought from home, this dead spruce that's right here, I'd cut that up and I'd use that. Like, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's not green, the chances are you're gonna be fine. Yeah, and just take your time and go nice and slow. One thing I could tell you guys is like a couple of recipes. The basic one, like fish wrapped in tin foil. Basically what we do is we take say a fresh rainbow trout. You knock the guts out, you leave the head on. Some people like to remove the scales. If you don't, it's not that big of a deal, because what ends up happening when it's done cooking, you kind of split it down the spine because it just falls apart. And then as you grab that meat, it typically just naturally pulls off the skin regardless, so it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, we take a rainbow, knock the guts out, leave the head on, take the scales off, sure, why not? And we'll take a little stick of butter, and you just cut up little slabs of it, and you just put it on the inside of their belly. And then you take lemon wedges, same thing, cut up lemon wedges. Sometimes you have to cut those in half as well, depending on the size of your fish. And you just put those on the inside, and then on the outside, little salt, little pepper, maybe a couple more lemon wedges, maybe another piece of butter or whatever. Wrap that up in tin foil, and don't stick it directly on the coals. Stick it just off to the side. So if your coals are right here, put your fish here. So that way it's kind of indirect heat. And then what you might have to do is just rotate it when it's halfway through, because like, depending on what side is on there, say the back is facing the coals, the belly won't be quite cooked. So cook on this side for, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. With that, your thermometer is typically your finger. Just touch it, poke it. If it burns your finger, you know it's hot. Flip it over, do that side until that side burns your finger too. pull it off, and like one of the best meals you'll ever have. And it's not just like rainbow. We've had rainbow, we've had bull, or not bull trout, lake trout, grayling, whitefish. One thing I haven't tried is sucker. One of these days I might try suckerfish. Supposedly it's really good. There's just a lot of bones in it. But yeah, that's one of the absolute best ways to eat a fish. Another thing, like what I'm doing today, this is a big pork loin roast. I can't remember what it said. Center cut, boneless, whatever. It's basically a pork chop that wasn't cut into chops. I put Italiano seasoning on it, Greek, oregano, salt, and pepper, and then basically just doing this, just roasting it. The first side there, that was about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Flip it over. This will be another, 30, 45 minutes kind of a thing. When you're cooking it like this too, it's slowly roasting it. You can see the juices are kind of forming at the top. And like when you're doing this, it's actually hard to dry out a pork. Just because of like where I have it. If it was lower where it's a lot hotter, it could dry out pretty easy. But where it is here, you shouldn't have a problem with it. And again, like you can't take this to heart and say, Sheldon says it takes 45 minutes per side and it's cooked. Today it's doing that because I'm whatever. I've cooked these where it's been 2 hours. I've cooked them where it's been 4 hours, and really not much has changed. One day it was pretty windy, so all the heat was kind of getting blown off to the side, and it took forever to cook. And today the wind's kind of blowing, but not really, so it's going to be a much shorter time. Also, my fire is not nearly as big. I'm using bigger pieces. There's a lot that go into it, so you just kind of have to eyeball it. And worst case scenario, bring one of the thermometers with you, and when you think it's done, just stab it into the side. With pork, I think with pork you want to cook it to at least 145 or 150. 160 is for sure well done. And then, yeah, just temperature test it. But I mean, for me, I don't bring any of those gadgets out. I just cook until I think it's done. If I slice into it and it's not done, I just put it back on. Take another 30-minute break, whatever. When it comes to beef, well, red meat in general, I guess. One thing I don't think I've ever done is made a beef roast on the fire. Maybe that's what I'll do one of these days coming up here, is I'll make a beef roast, because I don't think I've ever done that. But when it comes to steak, essentially what I do is I just put salt on both sides and kind of do the same thing, just kind of slowly roast it, except I'll put it slightly lower to get that nice little browning and sear marks or whatever, and the what's that effect called, where like the natural sugars in the meat kind of caramelize. But yeah, and then with those, when it comes to doing steak over the fire, I treat it like a barbecue, essentially. It's about 7 minutes a side ish, somewhere around there, again depending on the height, the heat, and yada yada, all that good stuff. Everything kind of goes into play there. But I mean, again, it's just the simple stuff. You just gotta watch it. You gotta pay attention. You can't put this on here and then go and watch the game, kind of a thing. When you're cooking over the fire, like, you gotta stand here. You gotta watch it. Like right now, it's up way too high because you see the flaring. It's finally done. It's over. Now we're back to like a slow smoldering fire. So I can lower that back down by probably 2 links, 1 for sure. And yeah, with the steak, I cook it. I do about 3 minutes. Then I flip it, do 3 minutes, flip it again, 3 minutes, flip it again. And sometimes you do that twice, sometimes you do that 3 times. It doesn't really matter. And then when it's all said and done, I pull it off, I put it onto a plate, and then I add like some garlic powder and some pepper. A lot of times you add that as you're cooking it, it just burns. And it's you don't really get a garlic taste, you get a burnt junk taste almost. So I mean, like with that, I use pepper and garlic kind of like as a finisher on steak. And then if you want to get real fancy, you take it off, you put it on a plate, you put in your garlic and your pepper, and you take a knob of butter, throw it out on there, and then you wrap it up in tin foil, and you let it sit for about 5 minutes or so. And then when you open it up, you'll see like what I call steak gravy. It's all the juices in that steak. A lot of it has soaked back up into that meat because that meat has now relaxed a bit. But then there's also a nice little puddle of just some of the most amazing, I don't even know what you want to call it. But you slice up your steak, you dip it in that steak gravy, and you eat it. Oh, it just takes it over the top. But yeah, when it comes down to this, it's an art, but there's no real super secrets other than just go slow, take your time, check the temperature often, raise it, lower it, whatever. If the fire gets away from you, don't be afraid to just grab your stuff and pull it off to the side, let that fire die down, and then bring it back. You know, it's one of those things where it is an amazing little pastime when you're out camping or even in your backyard, kind of a thing. And the end result is you have amazing tasting meat or fish or whatever it is, vegetables that you're cooking up, and yeah, you can also show off to your buddies who tend to burn everything. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell me how your campfire cooking went. Even if you just burnt everything, please let everybody know. Let's have a little laugh. Anyways, guys, take care. See you on the next one. Look at that. How often do you see that of a pork loin? See all that stuff dripping out? Slow roast over the fire, I'm telling you. It's the best way to cook anything.